fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
This time of year, the school calendar really starts to fill up. Spring activities, testing season, and that final push toward the end of the year. It's a great moment for kids to stay focused and build confidence in what they're learning. That's where IXL comes in. IXL is an award-winning online learning platform that helps kids truly understand their schoolwork, from math and reading to writing and science. It's designed for pre-K through 12th grade, with personalized interactive content that adapts to each child's level and pace. IXL makes it easy to stay on track with instant feedback and clear explanations, skills organized by grade level, and simple progress tracking. It fits into even the busiest spring schedules. It's also trusted nationwide. In fact, IXL is used in 96 of the top 100 school districts in the U.S. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. Listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price.
What happens when you do everything right, build the skills, go to the schools, network, grind, earn your spot, and still find yourself starting over?
This week, we're talking with journalist Karen Ho about the illusion of meritocracy, the precarity of creative work, and why even expertise isn't enough anymore.
We talk about community versus network, how our social structures are failing creatives, and what it actually takes to build sustainable careers in a crumbling economy.
The creative economy is broken, but some people are still making it work. We're here to find out how.
I'm Anna Marie Cox.
And I'm Open Mike Eagle.
And this is Past Due. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you've listened to the show. You know our big question, the one that right out of the gate, just to get people comfortable.
Yeah,
really.
Real comfortable. It's a very cozy first question.
Yeah. When is the last time you worried about making your monthly expenses?
It was right after grad school when my scholarship ran out, and I was living in America, and I didn't know how I was going to make it as a freelancer. And then I understood that I would have to pay a huge amount of money for a visa application, like more money than most people understand. It's like $6,100. And I remember I was dog sitting for like grocery money in cash. And I think in my family, the thing that's really weird is like both my parents worked for major Canadian banks. And so like our understanding is the money that you put towards savings or investments, like you're never allowed to touch that. It's only what's in your bank account. And my bank account was like maybe $150 at a time. And I was just like, I didn't think about, living in New York, like pulling from my Canadian savings in order to make my American expenses. And in retrospect, like that's kind of like, I've never actually been like super broke, like in the way that people think about. I don't have any student loans. I don't have credit card debt. And in Canadian, my undergraduate education was really cheap because of taxes here in Canada. But I think the thing in terms of like, I was definitely worried about paying my bills with a misunderstanding of like not knowing how to move money around, especially right after I finished at grad school and then my postgraduate fellowship in like 2018. And just really just like making life in New York like a lot of other creative people, and realizing that freelancing was not gonna I was ever gonna earn enough from that to pay my bills.
So what stabilized you from that point, from where you went from worrying about it to not worrying about it?
It really helped to understand how much family support I have. So in between jobs, like right now, I'm able to stay with family. I have also been extremely frugal throughout my 20s and 30s. Like I thrift, I stoop stuff, like I shop at Costco in bulk. And when friends take a cab home, I'm the person taking the subway or walking. And then I also very recently, right before I got laid off, I looked at all my finances. Like I sat down and looked at my accounts. I like even chased down some 401ks that I had forgotten about at old jobs. And I realized I had more than enough. I had more than most people my age, and that I didn't have to worry about rushing to find a new job after being laid off. And I could also afford to not be super stressed out about moving back to Toronto and the expenses of doing that, or like paying for a mover to load the truck the day of and things like that. And that really, really helped to just like sit down and like call companies and be like, what do I actually have with you that is in my name that I didn't realize?
Yeah. I want to say a couple of things. One is we love a long pause before people answer the when did you last worry about your monthly expenses. I love it when people have to really think about that. That, of course, is like a reassuring, okay, so they haven't really worried recently. Okay, good. If you're having to think about it hard. A quick answer to that question usually means pressure is high, right? And then the second thing is I really appreciate you being transparent about the importance of family support. Something we've talked about with others on this show, it comes to mind. I'm someone who is based in Hollywood. I remember talking about how he could see his peers apparently weathering tough times and talking about it as though like, oh yeah, like, man, it's sure hard to get a job. And aren't we all like in this thin time in television, like we're all really struggling, but then him not seeing the struggle, like not seeing that this person is really going through a hard time, and it turning out that there was financial support behind there. And it doesn't even have to be, I think what you're saying, and if you clarify this, that'd be great. It doesn't have to be huge amounts of financial support to offer that stability.
Like I literally asked my family recently. So to be clear, like I have secured an apartment here in Toronto. Like I have a friend moving in reverse. They're moving from they're moving from Toronto to Los Angeles for a job and for a relationship. And so I'm going to sublet their furnished apartment, which helped a lot. I didn't have to worry about like rebuilding a home here in Toronto. But like almost in between, like after I finished my postgraduate fellowship during the pandemic, and then between jobs, I have been able to stay with my mother and my sister in their suburban Toronto home for not a lot of money. Like I've asked them to contribute rent or money for groceries and Costco trips and stuff like that. And my mother's like, you don't have a job right now, so we don't feel good about charging you rent. You can contribute for like the food that you're eating every day, or, like utilities and stuff like that. And then on top of that, I received a small inheritance during the pandemic. I had an uncle who died of cancer, and he was gay and childless. And he left most of his estate to hospitals and charities. Like I think it was Doctors Without Borders and a big hospital here in Toronto. But then he gave a decent amount of money, especially for creative folks, to each of the cousins. And so like I think about that, like it's enough to like for me to go back to school in Toronto as a domestic student. It's not enough for most Americans to do that because of just the discrepancy. But I think having that safe place to come back, like my mother even flew down to help me move, like very last minute, like a couple days before Christmas. And so when we talk about support, like I think it's many layers. Like it's like my family supports me in my career choices. My family supports me and they understand. Like my sister's been laid off 3 times. So she understands that experience. And then there was unexpected financial support. And then again, it's the circumstances in which that I was like, I don't have 6 figures in student loan debt because I went to school here in Toronto. And because my parents both worked for banks, they saved the equivalent of a 529 fund when I was a kid and were able to pay for my education because I lived at home. I basically was like a CUNY student, right? Like that's what I paid for. And then my parents supported like my books and tuition because I lived at home until I was 25. But again, it's a very like classic Asian Canadian kids life, right? Like it's like, why would you pay rent? Like when you could live at home and save up money for like when you get married. And then when I went to graduate school, because I think Anna Maria has heard this story, but it's really funny, is like I really underestimated how much Americans love murder content. Like I was able to get a full scholarship to graduate school, including expenses. And I really didn't understand that was essentially like winning the lottery. And with the Canadian exchange rate, it's $1 American dollar is worth 1.4 Canadian dollars. And we calculated, because my mother worked at banks, like even if I paid that off within 10 years with the exchange rate, it was basically like $250,000 Canadian dollars, right? Because of going to a school like Columbia. Like it's basically, it allowed me to do a lot of different things. And I didn't have to go into jobs right away where I'd be making the most amount of money to pay off that student loan debt. And I could make totally different choices immediately after graduating. But I think, and then as a result, I feel a real sense of responsibility to like help people as a result of that runway and that cushion. But I also know lots of people who receive the same opportunities who don't feel that same sense of obligation to help other people.
This episode is brought to you by Factor.
Cold days, big goals, absolutely zero interest in cooking? Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs.
No planning, no grocery math, no what did I buy this ingredient for?
I love that Factor has quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats.
And there's so much variety. Over 100 rotating meals every week, including the new Muscle Pro meals, if you're doing strength stuff.
And they support your diet, whether it's high protein meals, Mediterranean, whole ingredients, healthy fats, or more. Plus, there are no refined sugars or artificial sweeteners.
I've looked for something like this for a long time, and Factor really is the best.
It's good food that tastes great and is ready in about 2 minutes, always fresh, never frozen, no prep, and no stress. Head to factormeals.com/pastdue50off. That's 50 off. And use code PASSDUE50OFF to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year.
Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan. 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active.
This time of year, the school calendar really starts to fill up. Spring activities, testing season, and that final push toward the end of the year. It's a great moment for kids to stay focused and build confidence in what they're learning. That's where IXL comes in. IXL is an award-winning online learning platform that helps kids truly understand their schoolwork, from math and reading to writing and science. It's designed for pre-K through 12th grade, with personalized interactive content that adapts to each child's level and pace. IXL makes it easy to stay on track with instant feedback and clear explanations, skills organized by grade level, and simple progress tracking. It fits into even the busiest spring schedules. It's also trusted nationwide. In fact, IXL is used in 96 of the top 100 school districts in the U.S. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. Listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price.
I don't have the best way to formulate this question wording wise, but I think a lot about, like we talk to a lot of creatives, and a lot of times when you devote your life to creative exploits, you sort of know to some degree that you're doing something crazy and that there's a lot of risk involved. Um, like that sort of comes with the territory. But it sounds like you did things the quote unquote right way, school into an industry that had been around forever. And so it would seem to me that you wouldn't have expected um, to go on the journey that you did and then, find yourself back home. Um, and I just wonder, like, if there's been any, like, if there were any challenges that you had to deal with in sort of like accepting that. Not that there was anything that you can necessarily do about the industry and where it sort of left you, but um, I guess I'm just thinking about the contrast of like people who go into the arts and sort of expect they might fall on their face, and then people who go into industries that feel safer, and what it's like when those things completely change while you're on that journey.
It's always really jarring to realize the extent at which meritocracy is a lie. It's like painful every single time.
The subtitle of this podcast.
For real.
And I want to be for real about this. Like, I am a queer immigrant Asian lady. Like, and then I was like, until I moved to the US, like, I was undiagnosed neurodivergent. Like, I am very, very ADHD and autistic, like painfully so. I am a classic case. And it's super, super undiagnosed, often late in life for Asian women, especially. And so the thing, to your point, it's like, I did a lot of the right things. I went to the prestigious school. I networked aggressively. I had a like, I met Meryl Streep on graduation day at the scholarship breakfast and talked to her for 10 minutes. Like, I have done all the things. Like, my name has been on the cover of Time magazine, and I've been interviewed by every major media outlet in the US. And I still, when I got laid off again, I really grappled with this sense of like, is this my fault? Like, am I a failure again? And there's this feeling of, I had to hear it repeatedly from friends, from people I trusted, my peers, about how that it wasn't my fault. There wasn't like, I couldn't work harder or say something or do something different to avoid what happened. And to your point, there is this moment every single time when I'm like, am I less attractive as a job candidate or even as like to go out on dates because I'm currently living in my mother's spare room in the suburbs of Toronto instead of like having my own place and owning it and, like all of that stuff. And at the same time, I have to remind myself, to your point about being creative, is like, I have done things that people dream of doing. Like, I have been on national TV. I have been like, I did another podcast interview where the host point blank admitted to me that they expected me to not reply at all. They thought I was such a big deal. And I was just like, I'm just a person who shops at Trader Joe's like anyone else. Like, what are you talking about? But I think the thing that's really hard is also like, again, going back to the meritocracy thing, is it doesn't matter. I think when you're in places like LA and New York, especially, to really see the machinations behind the scenes. And again, I have like I found out recently that Graydon Carter has read something I wrote and was like impressed by a detail that I included that was different than other reporters. Or, like I have met or surprised like super, super impressive and interesting people in the industry. And it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to get me like a job at like the New York Times or the Washington Post. It wasn't enough for me to get like fairly paid at certain jobs. It wasn't enough for me to stay in New York and the current political environment. And the thing that is really, really hard is that American hustle culture, especially for creatives who are women, people of color, queer, disabled, all of those groups, it says it's your fault. It's your fault. You weren't able to jump through enough hoops. You didn't get the right education or didn't make the most of the education you got. And it's like, it's not about the system that was designed to exclude you and punish you and make you feel like it was your fault. And again, it was just like, I report on like finance and economics. Like I I learned all the technical things so I could explain with data and documents the extent of this stuff. And it still wasn't enough. Like there was no way for me to outwit like double discrimination or more and again, it's like, I have a finance degree. Like my master's is in business and economics reporting. Like I taught myself how to code or how to read all the things. And I would still go into interviews and people would ask me questions like I was an idiot. And I just couldn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of like if you're a creative person and you weren't just a musician, like you knew audio engineering, or if you were an actor and you learned how to like run cameras, right? And do all of your own production and budgeting, no matter what level of technical skill as a creative person. And again, like I am at a level of expertise where it's like, I could go work for a bank, I could go work for a hedge fund, and people are constantly surprised at like the technical expertise that I gained. Like I took accounting and corporate finance in graduate school. Like I know how supply chains work. Like I want to do a story about Beyonce's operations manager. Like that's the real story I think about. But again, all of that technical knowledge didn't shield me from just the experience of like seeing firsthand how meritocracy is a lie. And I think that is especially painful at this current moment because you're seeing it really loudly in creative industries and from the federal government. Like the federal government is basically making it explicit that like all bets are off. And I think that's especially painful because like we're told as creative people, oh, if you just like meet the right person, or if you work harder, or, like you get your work in front of the right people, things will change. And to some degree, that's true. Like I'm in the country right now that produced the most popular TV show on the joke of like 12 Canadian dollars. But it's still like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing, everyone understands that success story could have never existed in America. Like It had to come from outside.
I think everything you're saying really resonates with me. And I will point out that I think those of us in the creative fields, for people that aren't there, all they see is our performance and they don't see the expertise. Like I know Mike knows a shit ton about it. I mean, you've had to do your own audio. You've had to do your own video production. You've had to do your own marketing, your own mailing, all that. All the hats. And I have that many hats on too, right? Like I do all my own marketing and design and like behind the scenes stuff to like make a course happen. And the research that I do, like I also have like some training in statistics and economics, and it hasn't helped me manage my own budget, I will say. But I know how to read that stuff, polling mainly. But what people see is the performance, right? They see, and I think there's a lot of confusion about, or just ignorance, maybe. That's actually, I'm going to say the word ignorance. I think people who see the performance are ignorant about the amount of labor that has to happen to perform well, even if that means performing well as a journalist, right? Like they just see the writing that you did and you're a pretty writer, like you write good, and or you're a good podcaster, and they don't understand that there's all this labor and expertise behind it and a lot of hats that we have on that you may not know about. And the other piece I wanted to say and expand upon is the idea that in this particular moment, the idea that we are being explicitly told how good you are at something doesn't matter. That your belief in the meritocracy is you're an idiot for believing in the meritocracy. Like you got scammed. And that's in part because look at the people that are running our country. Our country, not yours, Karen. I won't make you take responsibility for it. But I think about Pete Hegseth all the time. Like, not just because he's, we're in a new illegal war, but because he is the most dramatically unqualified cabinet official in history, I think. It's jaw-dropping to think that this guy who is a fucking television host, I mean, the president too, but for some reason I can wrap my head around people electing someone who's lacks expertise.
The popularity contest at the end of the day.
Yeah, popularity contest, totally fine. But Trump has turned the entire cabinet into popularity contest, right? And it's dispiriting on every level. And then, on top of that, there is this unwinding of expertise in the creative fields that, I mean, maybe this is where you can feel free to answer a structural question, or we can get to the piece that I think is also important, which is what we do in our everyday lives to continue to move on and not get bogged down in the fact that we are being systematically told we don't matter. The creative field doesn't matter. Our labor doesn't matter, especially if we're, female, person of color, disabled, etc.
Okay. So I think this is part of the reason why heated rivalry has absolutely gone.
Oh, I can't wait that we're just going to talk about heated rivalry. Put that in the episode description, Andrew.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. So the thing that I love about heated rivalry, that regardless of people, all the discussions, because again, my heart was I'm a business reporter brain and culture reporter at heart. That's the only reason why I was able to report on the art industry and art crime for the last 3 years and take a huge salary cut. By the way, my layoff happened 5 days before the Louvre theft. So everyone was like, is this your Olympics? And I was like, I couldn't say anything. I was just I had a brain full of 3 years of art crime. I knew the whole scope of art crime. I was the person at Art News who covered the British Museum scandal every day for weeks. But the thing with heated rivalry is I have been watching the cinematographer breakdown, a director of photography breakdown, the cinematography of heated rivalry. And her videos have exceeded 1 million views on Instagram because she's breaking down the technical side. So irrespective of the casting, the incredible way that they stretched the budget, she's talking about how they were able to hide those limitations in budget and also make the show look like a movie over its 6 episodes. And again, people are hungry for this quality breakdown. And so it's she is explaining why people are watching it every day and breaking it down like a Lord of the Rings film or the Game of Thrones series. And again, it's only 6 episodes. And she's like, these people really made the most of it. And this is why it's so well done. The ways that they used lighting and the way that people are obsessed about costumes and stuff like that. And I think to your point, it is such a good shining beacon of if you make something really good, if everybody on board is we are going to make the best thing that we can in spite of everything going on, regardless of what people think about romance books or pop culture about the gay community or or even a show with a person of color in the starring role, which is everything that Hollywood is against right now. It is going to cause people in countries like India and Philippines to bootleg copies and watch, have organized watch parties because it is such a global phenomenon right now. And I think the thing, going back to your earlier question, is I really find it important to surround yourself when you're a creative person with people who understand what you're trying to do. Even if even if the place where you have your day job that was paying your bills doesn't understand what you do. Because that's often the experience of, you said, being a creative person is whether you're a painter or a musician or a podcaster, you could be making something and in your head, you're I need to get this out of my head. I need to make this exist in the world. And you will encounter people be like, that's stupid, or that doesn't make sense, or it'll never sell, or whatnot. And you have to be around people who are just like, no, what you're doing is really good. Even if it's like, I don't understand it. I see how technically proficient it is, or how much care you're putting into it. Like, I remember writing articles and people I worked with didn't understand what I was trying to do. And then I would go to networking events or conferences, and they were like, we see the little details, right? Like, it's just like what was it? I remember reading an anecdote with, Amy Poehler and a bunch of people from like that era of SNL. And they were like, we would paint something in the background just for that one person in the audience that would notice that and care about it. And I would do that too for my own features. I would include a detail just for myself, or for some young kid who would like read it and catch it for themselves too. And then I found out afterwards that people I really respected in the industry, especially in things that I was starting off in, like data reporting or investigative reporting, they were like, we see the level of like intensity and enthusiasm and effort that you're putting into this more than you have to. And the thing that I also remember is like, again, bringing it back to Heat of Rivalry, everyone is scanning these poor lead actors' entire digital footprints, like YouTube videos that they made when they were 12. And so the thing that I think is also important to remember is that when you're making something and you're really putting a lot of effort in it, you don't know when it will find its audience. Like songs that are being shown in Heated Rivalry, like featured as the mic drops or whatnot, came out like 10 or 15 years ago. And all of those artists are freaking out because they are the most viral songs on Spotify currently, because all of a sudden everyone around the world is listening to those songs on a daily basis or more. And there is work that I did 11 years ago, 8 years ago, where people will still be like, I remember reading this when it first came out, or I'm so glad that you linked to it again because I'm reading it now and it still stands up. And I think that is really helpful. Like when you're a creative person and you're like, oh, I made something and I put it out into the world and it didn't get the audience that I expected. Because covering the art industry, like how many, I loved profiling artists who like made stuff and then they got big in like their 80s and 90s. Right. And all of a sudden they were getting a retrospective of their stuff that they made in their 40s and 50s. And they also had to explain what they did in their 20s that inspired them to where they are now. And I think that's really, really helpful to know that, like, especially as a creative person, like that your work will inspire you in the future. Like you don't know, it's like you're planning something and you don't know when it will grow. Does that make sense?
It does. And as somebody who makes a lot of stuff and some of it has the impact you want, some of it doesn't. A lot of times it's hard to keep that sort of thought in mind or be confident that one day people will find it. Um, One thing that we always end up talking about on this show is the importance of community and helping creative people face a lot of these challenges. And um, I was struck by something you just said about the people the people you were working with weren't necessarily seeing your vision, but you were at maybe a networking event and somebody came up to you and said that the thing that you did very intentionally resonated with them. And where it sort of put me is this question, and I'd love to hear you or Anna reflect on this. The question is a community the same as a network? Or is that
Mm.
are those different things? I'm curious what y'all think about that.
I think they're different. And I would say this because Anna knows this. I built huge audiences on Twitter and now Blue Sky. And it's a community of people who follow me for like, I popularized the term doom scrolling during the pandemic. And I gained like 40,000 followers on Twitter. And then I built a bot that gained 125,000 followers. And then I left Twitter for Blue Sky and had to start over. And then right around the time of the election, like people, I was gaining like 1,000 followers a day. And now I'm at 60,000 followers on Blue Sky again. The thing that's different about a community is that there are people from that community that are in my network, but my network is very different than my community, because there are people in my community that support me, that they like read my work, but they can't like professionally help me in the same way that my network can. And in the same way that people in my network are not necessarily part of my community, because there are people that I stay in touch with, but don't support what I do, either emotionally or financially or professionally. And I think it's really important to understand the difference, right? Like it's like I also see the tone of the interactions between the two. And I think it's especially challenging when you're a woman or a person of color or a member of different groups. Like I belong to all sorts of different groups and professional organizations and stuff like that. And I think you can see in different channels, I'm in this Slack specifically for journalists of color. And it's funny to see the channels where people are asking for professional advice about like cover letters and stuff like that. And then the channels where it's like there's community building because you're queer, or you want to talk about a TV show, or you're navigating like the city that you've just moved to. And that's a very, very, it's like a combination of tone and also the tone of those interactions. And I think the thing that's also really hard is when you're a creative person, I think there's still this like awkward feeling regarding networking and the distinction with community. And it's sort of like, how do you figure out who are those people that you actually genuinely want to build non-transactional relationships with, right? It's not just the people where you're like, hey, you're also doing something similar to my thing, or I want to support the thing you're doing, even though it's unrelated, so-called, with the thing that I'm doing. But it's also just about figuring out a path forward in an environment that seems pretty derisive or discouraging to what you're doing. And that's a very different thing, right? Like, yeah, there are definitely people in my network where it's like, I don't feel in community with them, but I feel like it's important for us. I know that they like keep tabs on what I do, or like, you know, they're an important person in terms of like me getting a future job. But I would never talk about my personal life with them beyond a very like shallow capacity, if that makes sense.
Totally. And what you're making me think of, and I think, Mike, you should also weigh in on this particular distinction and how or whether it's shown up in your life. What Karen's talking about makes me realize that I've done I don't want to call it a bad job, but I have in my life blurred that line between community and network. I think to my detriment. I think that I always err on the side of community. Like, I think of people that I know, if I like them and care about them, I assume a reciprocity that may not be there. And I, for sure, if anyone has ever asked me for help making a connection in my life, I have always done it. Like, I have always been like, yes, I will make that call for you. Although I've also been upfront with some people where I'm like, I don't know if you actually, where I've been like, I can make that connection for you, but I feel like I should tell you, you know, X, Y, Z about that person. Right. And I've then been hurt or frustrated that I don't always get, the kind of warmth that I feel like I offer to others. And I also, to put it on me, maybe am looking, there's a wonderful phrase from Al-Anon, an adult children of alcoholics, like, I am looking for oranges at the hardware store. That I am looking for that warmth from people that just aren't, that's not the relationship, right? Like they're seeing things through one lens and they're seeing a transaction and I'm seeing like, no, we give each other whenever we need. Right. And to bring it on myself, I think that to find my kind of part in it and what I want to work on here is to be more active in networking without and being able to leave aside the expectation that it's necessarily going to be always a warm handoff. Like, am I making sense? That I have worked on I need to work on professional boundaries. I think that's a very short way of saying all of this. But in my defense, or to have a little grace with myself, this is the thing about being a creative is we don't do this to have a Rolodex. You know? I put my entire heart and soul into stuff. Like I don't do this because I want to make a lot of money. I don't network because I'm trying to get to the top of something. I network and make things. I'm going to get emotional, like, because I want to see this stuff in the world, right? Like, if I wanted a Rolodex full of people that could help me, I would have gone into banking or become a lawyer or something. But instead, like what I'm putting out into the world is stuff that means incredible amounts to me. So it's hard to kind of switch lenses, I guess. Mike, what about you? You're a musician, I feel like, or Karen, yeah?
So I want to ask Mike about this. So I think something I realized, again, I'm not an American, but I saw this. I read a lot of papers. Like I think a lot about Elijah Anderson's paper about white space from Yale sociology a lot. And the thing that I think is really striking for a lot of white Americans right now is an understanding that Black Americans have had for a long time, which is the understanding of like, even if people of color wanted to build community, how easily you understand or learn that the other person only thought of you as part of their network. And the other thing is it's like community out of necessity versus like out of choice. Like when you're a person of color, you have to build community to get intel about like who's being exploited at work or who's being underpaid, or how do you make the most of like fewer resources financially or cultural capital and whatnot. And the thing that's really, really hard, right, is like you have to enter these networking spaces, which are, again, white spaces by default, especially unless you're going to a place like Howard or another HBCU or a professional working group that is, you know, based around people of color. Even like I'm part of the National Lesbian and Gay Journalism Association, and that organization is still working on like diversifying itself from not just being predominantly white gay men in Los Angeles. And so I think the thing that's really, really hard, in addition to like, again, that pain of understanding that someone that you've extended a gesture of community to only sees you as like part of their network in a transactional capacity, is like when people do it because they have privileges from not needing community out of survival. And I think like I talked about this a lot with people in Chicago. Like it felt very Canadian to me. And I realized part of that, especially when I was talking to people of color, but also the white folks who live there in the art community. And I realized it was like, is it because of the winter? Like you cannot survive a Chicago winter without community. No, I'm serious. I asked this to multiple people there, especially people of color. And I was like, especially if you just moved there from like Nigeria, like you cannot survive a winter in Chicago without community. Like you have to find clothes to wear and things to do. And, you know, like the food that you love to eat there and stuff like that. And it wasn't like a lot of other American cities, which are hyper individualistic and like pull yourself by your bootstraps kind of thing and figure it out yourself and all that kind of stuff. and, or, you know, like do your own research kind of stuff. And I really think about that when it comes to like creative folks, like, and you could see that too. It's sort of like which industries are like, oh, you have to pay your dues kind of mindset. And then, or, you know, like there's no excuse now. You can just go on YouTube and learn the tutorials. And because things are getting more expensive, again, I bring this back to finance and economics, there isn't the like bandwidth for people to be as generous with their time and energy, because people have to hustle harder to pay their bills. And that pressure is extended even to folks that, again, come from community out of necessity. And then we're not just like, we can go into like, I don't want to broaden the conversation too much, but there was also like this absence of things like churches or other like third spaces that were not monetized, right? Like the library or community centers and stuff like that. And American culture has really made that kind of, or even the mall, right? Like has made gathering in those spaces either actively discourage those places from existing or just made it much more difficult and in some cases policed so that people can't have those sort of like organic, non-transactional interactions with other people. Right now, the reason why I have them regularly is because I have a dog and I used to live next to a huge park. But again, it's like really, really hard when you live in a city like Los Angeles where you have to drive everywhere and you don't have that kind of like bandwidth to just have like a sort of like useless conversation with someone that you wouldn't otherwise have encountered, if that makes sense.
Want more? In this week's bonus episode, we ask Karen a deceptively simple question. What institutional change would you make to enhance the sustainability of creative work?
Spoiler, the answer is more achievable than you think. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/pass2 to hear the full conversation and support the show.
Hi, I'm Chandler Garcia. As a PICU nurse and global health advocate, I've cared for women and children all over the world, from Costa Rica to Egypt to Kenya and beyond. And no matter where I go or how tough the conditions get, I always wear my FIGS. These scrubs are lightweight, breathable, and super soft, perfect for long shifts in any environment. They've got pockets in all the right places, the fit is flexible, and they're durable through every admission, surgery, and post-op. But it's not just about the scrubs. Another big part of what I love about FIGS is when they say they're committed to supporting healthcare workers all over the world, they mean it. I recently joined them on an impact trip to India where I worked in triage, caring for babies in a mobile clinic. My FIGS aren't just what I wear. They're part of the impact I want to make. Wherever my work takes me, FIGS helps me show up ready to make a difference while looking and feeling my best. Get 15% off your first order at wearfigs.com with code FIGSRX. That's wearfigs.com, code FIGSRX.
This time of year, the school calendar really starts to fill up. Spring activities, testing season, and that final push toward the end of the year. It's a great moment for kids to stay focused and build confidence in what they're learning. That's where IXL comes in. IXL is an award-winning online learning platform that helps kids truly understand their schoolwork, from math and reading to writing and science. It's designed for pre-K through 12th grade, with personalized interactive content that adapts to each child's level and pace. IXL makes it easy to stay on track with instant feedback and clear explanations, skills organized by grade level, and simple progress tracking. It fits into even the busiest spring schedules. It's also trusted nationwide. In fact, IXL is used in 96 of the top 100 school districts in the U.S. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. Listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price.
As we have this conversation, part of I'm realizing why I even asked the question to begin with is because this navigating being in relationship with people as an adult and as a professional has just been so intimidating to me in a lot of ways. I think about being in Hollywood, and I think there's just like a number of distortions, being a person of color, being an independent musician, living in Los Angeles. Like, I have a hard time in a lot of senses answering the question of like, is this person my friend or not? Like I run into that constantly. I remember when I transitioned to Blue Sky, Um, and to this day, there's a few people where I'm like, oh, they used to follow me on Twitter. Now they don't follow me on Blue Sky. I guess they're not my friend anymore. You know, like, and it's
Oh.
but it's that is a literal internal conversation that I have in trying to understand my relationship with other people. And I think it sort of gets at this question of the difference between community and a network. And I guess to me, and I'm still chewing on this as we're speaking about it, to me, community feels like, oh, there's an active component. You're getting together and doing a thing. And that's been hard in LA too, because all of the communities that I've been a part of in LA have been based around locations, like based around events that were happening in a place, most of which have come and gone. So you build relationships with people, but then once that event or that, you know, that thing ends, then your relationship with people becomes very at will. In Los Angeles is so spread out. It's, you know, things deteriorate over time. So, you know, there's a lot here, and I'm gonna be chewing on this conversation, I think, for a little while. But I appreciate y'all's insight on that, because it's a big issue for me.
A big one that I find is like, can you do real talk with them in more than one limited capacity? Like, because there are people who just live in my phone. We live in different cities, or everybody's busy, or, you know, they have kids now, and it's hard for us to like get together in person. And also the other feeling is like, if we see each other in person, is there a friction in the initial conversation, or can we just get into it? And then it's also like, it's different because like on Blue Sky, people appreciate how it's like Anna said, it's a performance to some degree. There's still things I don't talk about in public. But the thing is, I pay attention to, I give a lot of myself on Twitter still. And there are people who like have voluntarily reached out and were like, if you need someone to talk to, like we don't know each other, but here's my phone number. You can call me when you're worried about like who to reach out to when you're figuring something out, or I'll body double with you when you're stressed out about packing for your move. And like, that is an active community on their part, right? And so they're not waiting for me to give first. And so I think that is really, really interesting. But again, it's a tone that I set for, and then I think again, it's really hard in a place like Los Angeles. So right now I live in a suburb of Toronto. So like for me to go to downtown Toronto is like an hour's public transit trip, or, you know, like half an hour or more drive depending on traffic. But there are people I text all the time, or they're like, when you get settled into your place, like I'd love to hang out and make plans. And then the other one is like, if you make plans, you know it's going to happen. Like they are a reliable person and you want to be reliable for them in return. Because I think the problem also with community is that, I don't know what it's like in LA, but people have gotten really, really flaky.
Oh God,
you know?
it's the capital of flake.
Right. And then the other thing that is different, it's different than like people setting boundaries. Like, I'm not feeling well genuinely, and I want to be present for when we do meet up. And you're like, oh, if we reschedule, they will show up. Like, we know that. But it's also a different thing when it comes to networking. Again, it just feels like you don't have any other personal connection besides you being in the same industry or in the same proximity to each other and stuff like that. And I think about, or how would you introduce that person to a friend is a really interesting way of distinguishing community versus network. But again, these are things I think about all the time because I am very, very good at networking. But I think it's also in a way that feels non-transactional to the people that I genuinely connect to. And then I also good about following up with people afterwards. I wrote an entire presentation about like how to diversify sources and how I ensure that my stories are like 50% women and people of color. Because I was like tired. I was tired of watching people learn entire coding languages, but then fill their stories with only white dudes from the same schools over and over again. And I said, here are all the reasons why I'm able to like keep in touch with all of these people I've interviewed before and have them want to refer me to other people that they respect and know. And say like, if you talk to Karen, she will not take your time for granted. She will proactively send you the story and you'll want to talk to her again in the future. Like she'll accommodate you. And she won't make you feel like it was an exploitative or, transactional kind of thing. And so, yeah, it's really about like how would you introduce them to other people, and I think it like, I'm really proud of the fact that people remember me like several years later.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a skill I built over time.
I feel like I want to jump in on the community versus networking thing one more time. We might have to wrap up after this, but I think that one of the things that I've realized I miss the most in having moved to a place during the pandemic, gotten a divorce, and lost my regular gig, kind of all at the same time. Number one, the pandemic was crushing not just to the idea of third spaces, which I don't think we have still not fully recovered, and also to flakiness. I think the pandemic kind of created a space where it was okay to flake, and it's true. Like, we needed to, right? Some people were needed to mask or isolate, and I get it, but I think we now have a culture where people are not as eager to hang out. Like, there's less cultural impetus to hang. And I know for me, just reestablishing friendships here in Austin has been really hard. And I've had to do that. Okay, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's this cultural shift. But one of the things that I've come to realize that I miss the most about either the third spaces or having a jobby job or having like one place I always go, is having people literally being seen on a regular basis. Like, literally having someone or people in my life that look at me and hear me on a regular enough basis to know when things are going well or not going well for me, right? To be able to ask how you're doing. Oh, you know what? I see you all the time, and today you seem really upbeat. And tell me about like what's going on. Or I see you all the time, and today you seem distracted. That level of feeling, again, seen is so important. And I will tell you, one of the reasons I have 2 podcasts where I co-host with people who I love and respect is because this very podcast does give me a space where I get to see Andrew and Mike every week. And I hope I offer them the same thing they offer me, which is just check. It's not even like, I mean, we don't talk much offline, but that we just get that feeling of like someone knows me. And I think that is something that I would say almost anyone who's a creative and working gig economy and working from home is hard to summon. It's one of those structural things I think you're talking about. And one of the problems, it's still possible to network these days, but building that are you seen piece, which is more about a community, is harder.
And I'll
go for it.
I'll just to punctuate it from me. I'm saying that I'm also learning through this conversation that part of the equation for me, part of the difficulty of it is my math on how much of my emotional reality I am offering to situations that I'm in too. And I think it's sort of informed by that confusion of, is this person my friend? I tend to err on the side of, I'm just going to handle my real shit by myself. Unless I know for sure that there's an established space for getting into the mess of life. And I'm just, I'm taking that away from this as well. It's like I'm having to sort of interrogate why it is that I'm, I could be somewhere with people who I do consider friends, but still not feel like I'm being seen in the way that we talk, that Anna just especially pointed out that it's important. That's an important component to all of this.
I think the thing that's really hard, though, in my experience, is like going back to Anna, what you said, is that even the people I was regularly interacting with, realizing the people who didn't, they saw me physically, but they didn't see me, right? They weren't interested in that.
Yeah.
And it was much more important for me to build community outside of the job, like the regular job. So it was like I said, it was like Slack channels, or it was like people in Signal and WhatsApp groups, and it was friend groups that were interested in what I did professionally, but they don't care like how much I earn or where I've published and stuff like that. And they will support me. Like they're the people, and it was really easy to figure out who those people were, especially when I was moving, like in the process of moving from New York back to Toronto. They would just like, like a friend of mine showed up, like he took the train from Philadelphia for 2 hours each way just to like chat with me for a couple hours about like, and I gave up like packing time or whatever to hang out. And that's like a real friend. Like we are in each other's network professionally. Like we could present together on panels and stuff like that. But this is a person in my community. And like we text each other like silly things. Like he used to be a welder, so we'll send each other like bad welds of like sculptures and stuff like that we see. And like, but again, it's an excuse to like text each other about nothing. And not just about like what we're figuring out professionally and whatnot. And I think the thing that's really, really hard when you're seeing, I want to go back to what Anna Maria said about people missing. Like, I feel like that's part of the tension and forcing people to go back to the office like 4 or 5 days a week is people who don't have any other outlets. But again, I think because I have a dog, and a dog is great. I recommend it even if you are single and it's a financial struggle. It's because I met so many people from having the dog and walking the dog all the time. And it was exactly what Anna said, was like, I would see these people regularly. They'd ask about things. And it was incredible to hear how many of them were like so sad that I was leaving New York and moving and the circumstances that brought it about that shift. And some of them, I had encountered lots of times. Like my dog groomer expressed like genuine sadness. She's like, you have been my client for 3 years. You've referred people to me. Like, I'm so sad, but I understand why you're moving. And so like, that is one of those things that you can see. Like, I just spoke to someone. I think it's really good as a creative person to have some sort of pet or like another hobby that's unrelated to your, no, I'm serious, because it's like, first of all, like the pet doesn't care what race or gender or nationality I'm. And again, it forced me to go outside every day and talk to other people. Of course, I would end up meeting people that I have nothing in common with politically or otherwise, and they would say random out of pocket things. Like I met Naomi Wolf by accident because of my walking my dog once. But I think it's
best way to meet her. That's the absolute best way to meet her.
I was very, when I realized who it was, I was like, oh no, I need, how can I politely back away slowly without making too many faces? But I think it's like genuinely, it is one of the funniest things in terms of like, I think it's a real human thing, especially when you're at home making stuff all the time, like writing or audio engineering or whatnot. And then, because it's hard to like, as a musician, to like just find people and jam with, right? Or like, because again, it costs time and money and figuring it out. But also, I'm very grateful that for most of the time that, especially the last couple of years during the pandemic and afterwards, I had a group of friends where we'd meet up at least once every 2 weeks. And it was like, I thought that kind of situation only happened in TV shows and movies and never starring Asian people. I was like, this is for whites. Like, or, it was like a living single kind of thing. And I was like, this doesn't happen to Asian people. And like, it was, some of us worked in media, a lot of us didn't, or formerly. And it's like, that kind of regularity was really, really important, right? Like you said, like feeling seen. And those are the people who showed up at my apartment to help me pack, or like, the first people when I got laid off, they were like, we're going to meet up right now, like this evening, and buy you dinner and make sure that you're not just like hiding in your apartment. And I think it's really hard. Like I didn't get that until I was in my 30s. And I know that it's especially hard if you just moved to another city and stuff like that. But I feel like it was so important as a creative person, especially to remember that these people didn't care about like how productive I was or where I was working or how much I was earning. But they were ready to support me in my career anytime and also be there when I was like really, really depressed and just be like, you are more than this job. We know what you're capable of, all sorts of stuff. And I think that's like, I told someone, I was like, when they showed up at my apartment to help me pack, like they opened all my like unread mail. Like I was like, this is more valuable than money as a creative person. I was like, I was like astonished at, it felt like such a huge act of love and community. And it was just like, but again, I think when it comes to this podcast and especially money, I think it's like, I understand the privileges that I have. And I also feel like I do a pretty good job of paying it forward. Like I know I can visualize in my mind who helped me to get me to where I am. And despite all my frustration, like I'm really proud of the fact that what has happened to me, especially recently, hasn't made me bitter or reduced my desire to help others, if that makes sense.
As we wrap up, this is a show about how creatives navigate this economy. So one of the most important parts of our show is to turn over the show to our guests so they can let people know how best to support them in their creative endeavors. So, Karen, if there's things that you want to plug, now is the time.
Oh, well, right now. So the thing is, it's really weird because it's like, I still have like a Venmo, but I couldn't accept any side income at all when I was living in the US on my work visa. Like I couldn't even like sell stuff on eBay or receive scholarship money because of the limitations of my work visa. Like if I received a scholarship, they had to spend it for me because I couldn't like trade stocks or like write conflict of interest for my job, and also because it would trigger a tax form that's against the terms of my work visa. So right now it's like the ways that people can support me are sending me job leads, I guess following me on Blue Sky, and if they really want to, but I don't expect it, like I get donations through Venmo sometimes, which are
all right,
like, they're so nice, but I don't expect it. But mostly it's just like, I think it's like people have been really kind in just like sending me job leads or asking me to freelance and come on their podcasts and or interview me for stuff, or even commission me for articles. That's been a lot of fun.
No newsletter.
Everyone keeps telling me I should do one. I almost did a paid Substack.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm ending mine. So topic for another day. But Karen,
I'll tell Mike how to buy all his cool stuff gently used on Goodwill auctions and find all the cool deals for like men's clothes that I'm always finding.
I'll take it.
Karen, thank you so much for coming on. You have such a wealth of insight to offer about navigating the world of the creative economy in such a specific and concrete way. I do encourage everyone to give you a follow on Blue Sky, where you talk about a lot of this stuff. And the ADHD self-care document is something that I've found a lot of value in. So you should repost that, actually. Why don't you do that? So many of our guests talk about having discovered or getting diagnosed, even if only self-diagnosed, or that's legitimate, diagnosed either by themselves or a doctor, as creatives. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We've talked about the importance of community in a lot of these episodes and a lot of these conversations, but your insights have helped us drill down into it in a brand new way. So we appreciate that. Thank you for being here.
Thanks again for having me.
All right, Mike.
Yes, Anna.
We've been doing this show for like over 6 months, 7 years
at least.
At least. And I kind of set down a dare for us.
I'm not good at dares.
Last week, and I said we've been doing this for long enough, and we've been doing the same things for long enough that we might be able to do each other's plugs.
Okay, yeah, we did say that.
No pressure.
I guess we're going to hold ourselves accountable to the stuff we say. Is that what's going to happen around here?
It's how you develop trust.
I guess that's true.
Okay, so I can go first if you want.
You know what? Let me go first.
Okay.
Anna had a newsletter. I don't know if she still does or not. No, she does not. Anna does workshops. I know that. She does writing workshops, and that now they are migrated to Patreon. Everything's on Patreon on different tiers and different prices. And Anna's pantomiming a film camera, and I don't know why.
YouTube.
Oh,
I'm doing YouTube.
Yes. I'm actually, and look, I am very proud that that Anna is taking her writing and putting voice to it and making video essays, because I feel like that's such a vibrant community and a place where people are coming to take part in the sorts of conversations that she writes so brilliantly about all the time. So please do go to her YouTube page and hit like and subscribe on everything there.
Yes.
Right. We cheated a little bit, folks, but
we played charades.
Yeah, it's true.
I couldn't think of a hand signal for YouTube. Like, what would that be? Like, I had to do film camera.
I was like, are you directing? Like, what is happening?
Because, like, what would I do? Just like outlining a box.
Yeah, no, that was a good try. Yeah, you're right. There's no shorthand. There's no shorthand for YouTube.
All right. Mike has an album.
That's true.
Neighborhood Gods.
That's most of it. The title, yes.
Oh, what am I missing?
The last word is unlimited, but that's okay.
Unlimited. Right. Neighborhood Gods Unlimited. I just actually really like the Neighborhood Gods. Like, that's always been like the part of it that I'm like, I feel like I don't know exactly what that means.
Those are the two most important words.
Yes. So Neighborhood Gods Unlimited, which I'm going to remember forever now because it's like Public Image Unlimited, and also because you corrected me. It's been out for a while, but he's still touring to support it.
Yep.
And so you can, if you are in Canada,
yep,
the end of this month, show up to Mike's show in Winnipeg, bring him a coat, because he lives in Los Angeles. I'm sure he won't have the right. Well, you're from Chicago, so
I have.
Do you
coats.
have
we'll
an
just
appropriate?
We'll see if I bring the right
outerwear?
I have different coat options. I have to see if I make the right choice.
I think you're mostly done with your tour.
Yep.
But we'll still have upcoming dates. People can check out your website.
Yep.
MikeEagle.net.
Hey, you're better at that than I am.
Yeah, it has a dash in it too, right?
No, I think it's
just MikeEagle.net. Okay, all right. And you also are on all the platforms.
That's true,
including Twitch and YouTube yourself.
Yep.
You recently did an interview with Questlove on his podcast.
True.
That went a little bit viral. I encourage people to check that out. Also, very proud of you, and I also think had played a part personally in James Gunn taking up the cause of your single about, what is the name? It's Clark Kent.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra words. Clark Kent is that's the two most important words in the title of that song is Clark Kent.
What's the full title?
Clark Kent's a secret black box. I do long.
You like to go on, okay? But Clark Kent, and it's a great video and it's a great song.
Thank you.
And James Gunn picked it up, and I'm trying to think what else you're up to. You will soon be teaching rap classes, right?
I'm not going to commit to that here or anywhere else. You're not going to trick me.
Did I hit the highlights?
You did.
Oh, people can still order merch.
Yes.
From your website and order cassettes. And do you have any albums left?
The vinyl's all sold out.
Y'all missed your chance to get vinyl.
Unless you come to a live show.
Oh, okay. But you got T-shirts, you got cassettes.
Mm-hmm.
You should. Have you thought about singles?
I have not thought about singles. I have not thought about the 5-song maxi single or the little, instrumental and acapella on the other side. No, I hadn't thought about that at all.
All right, I think I hit the highlights. I got some
great
names wrong, but and I also missed a word.
No,
a third.
You passed with
title.
Flying colors.
All right. Well, I feel strongly about supporting each other in a general sense. Like the show supports community, and I am a huge fan of yours, Mike.
I'm a huge fan of yours too.
I have been a fan of you as a person. We've discussed I'm not a hip hop head, right?
I'm going to work on that though.
And I appreciate that, and I like your stuff a lot. I'm not searching out, like, I'm very much like average white person interested in hip hop. That's a good. I was about to say I really love like Kendrick Lamar. I love Kendrick Lamar, and it's like pretty much like what the sorority girls listen to when they listen to rap. I understand that. Although I do really like it.
We're gonna hip you. We're gonna hip you to the other some other stuff that I think
wrestling, comic books, hip hop. So anyway, I'm a huge fan, and I hope people check you out, visit you on your Twitch stream. Also, I am gonna make a demand that I'm on your morning show sometime. I think that would be really fun.
I think that'd be really easy.
All right. Do we have anything else? People can find out more about me too at my website, AnnaMarieCox.net, which is now AnnaMarieCox.net. No,
not
that's
net,
you.
not .net.com.
.com, and it's now just 2 pages. I slimmed it.
Nice and easy. Get to that Patreon, folks. Let's support Anna Marie's creative endeavors.
And we'll talk again next week. And we have a lot of cool guests coming up. It's a new year, and with the same old things to talk about. And I will see you next week.
Yep, because the creative economy is still broken.
Yes, but some people are making it work.
Past Due is hosted by Anna Marie Cox and Open Mike Eagle. It's produced by Andrew Steven. You can find more at pastduepodcast.com. Help support the show by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/pastdue. You'll get bonus content, extended interviews, and more. As always, if you like what we're doing, another way to help is by subscribing, sharing the show, and leaving us a review. Thanks for listening.
Stop doom scrolling. Start decoding the tech, rewiring your week and your world. The Interface is the BBC's fiercely informed, fast, and funny take on how technology is changing everything.
Hosted by journalists Tom Tremaine, Karen Howe, and Nikki Wolf, each episode unpacks week by week the unfolding story of how technology is shaping all our futures. No guests, no jargon, just 3 sharp voices debating the tech news stories that matter, whether they shook a government, broke the internet, or quietly tipped the balance of power.
As TikTok shifts geopolitics, Trump drives digital shockwaves, Elon Musk expands his space internet empire, and AI reroutes the routines of everyday life. The trio asks, what world are the tech titans building for us? And do we want to live in it?
Find The Interface from the BBC wherever you get your podcasts.
Sometimes it feels like red and blue states are just as divergent as post-World War II East and West Germany. So what can the US learn from German political history in order to create a more perfect union? Find out on the new season of The Future of Our Former Democracy, the Signal Award-winning podcast from More Equitable Democracy and Large Media. Hosted by me, Colin Cole, and Heather Villanueva. It's time to rethink democracy. So follow The Future of Our Former Democracy wherever you get your podcasts.